I've got a 22-year-old kid I'm sitting across from who can run circles around me in marketing.
Yeah.
He's the expert. You should be hiring people like this in your business, not doing it yourself.
Yep.
Because again, if you build it, they will come. For a business is absolute bullshit.
Hey everyone, Sam Patel, super excited to have today's discussion. I have amazing, brilliant entrepreneurs with me, gentlemen that I've met over the last couple years, and they are amazing people that are going to engage in amazing conversations. If you are new to my channel, make sure you hit subscribe so we do not miss out on any conversations that we have together, because today's conversation is going to be a good one because we have some heavy hitters in the room from different walks of life, different age groups, and we're going to dive into medicine. We're going to dive into entrepreneurship. We're going to dive into all of the hot topics and a little bit of the dirty topics of business. And we're going to expose some things together. Let me introduce my two guests here. I have Dr. Alex Spinoso and Jackson Lintz. And I'm super excited to have you guys. How you guys been?
Good.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We're technically filming in your house.
Fair enough. They don't know that. They do now.
We're filming here in Dallas, Texas. It's super nice to be here. I'm very excited for the weekend. I know we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be doing some cool things at the conference, but we wanted to make sure that we have some time together to have a good discussion of the industry. I know, Jackson, I would love to maybe start with you, just telling the audience a little bit more about your history. You're the young buck in the room. You're up and coming. You and your brothers have laid an amazing foundation, but what's your story? I mean, I know it, but tell the people out there, why are you here? What have you done? How have you triumphed and clawed your way to where you are now?
Yeah. So me and my two brothers, we started an e-commerce product-based business in 2016. And that was the start of our business ventures. And we were able to scale that up to 7 figures through Instagram marketing. And so what we would do is we film like cringy classroom skits, and we would product place the earbuds in the videos. And so these videos would get millions of views on Instagram, and they'd convert really well to paying customers. And so we were able to scale that business to 7 figures within just a couple of years. And, we were naive, right? Like, we were young entrepreneurs. We didn't know a lot about business. And so we got a little greedy and thought that we could market anything. And so we expanded out to other product lines like waterproof speakers, backpacks, and we built up like a massive inventory costs that pretty much sunk us and brought us to $300K in debt. And then,
how old were you at this time?
Well, it started, like the video started when I was going into grade 9. And then we progressed through high school. And so I was managing high school and then also the work. And I was also doing coding a bit on the side as well. So it's pretty much just like nonstop, to bed at like 11, up at 5, and just like go. School would always come last on the list just because like I didn't care about it at all. And yeah, so that's a bit about like the e-commerce side. And then we transitioned into more branding because we saw like that's what we were best in. Like, we were able to scale up this product-based business through Instagram, something that was very new. Like, no one was really growing like we were on Instagram. So we dove in, started taking on clients just for like Instagram growth, scaled that up and started the agency, which where we were managing multiple clients. Then we got into the PR side of things and started getting our clients on publications like New York Times, USA Today, Forbes. And so we kind of established a full service offering where we not only were managing individual social medias, but we were also managing their PR. And these are high-level professionals that we were managing. So they were real estate investors, they were attorneys and PR firm owners and clinic owners. And then as we progressed and scaled up that side, we moved from our hometown in Winnipeg, Manitoba to Puerto Rico.
Nice.
And then after that, we realized that the industry that needed the most help was the aesthetics industry and clinic owners. And so we've tailored a lot of our offerings now to focus on serving clinic owners, physicians, specialists, practitioners, and helping them grow their brands.
So that's a crazy story. I mean, most people, when they're in middle school and high school, I mean, Alex,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell we were doing.
Useless. That's what I was doing.
We were right.
Nothing useful.
Nothing. We were probably just nerding it out, trying to get good grades, and had this. We'll get to that whole healthcare.
Eating my
arena.
Lunchables.
Exactly right. But nonetheless, you kind of took a different path and you and your brothers went into this whole entrepreneurship really early. Made $1 million, lost $1 million, and you grinded your way through. And I was in my 30s when I started making that kind of money, and you were half that age. So that is pretty freaking crazy. I know you mentioned over time that you started partnering with some A-list celebrities and doing these sort of things. Walk us through how you guys even came about that, who those people were, if you're allowed to talk about that. Just walk us through kind of what that means for people.
Yeah. So as we were expanding into the agency, we saw something happening on Instagram, and we were big on Instagram, right? We were heavy in the Instagram marketing space. And so people were running giveaways with celebrities. And so they partnered with celebrities. Celebrity would give something away on Instagram, and then they'd tell their followers to follow everyone that, this company was following. And there was a few people in the space, but they weren't doing the model right, and they weren't building a brand around it. They were faking results. They weren't giving away prizes. So we were like, this is something that's like going to be really big. So let's just jump on this early. And we were able to partner with our first celebrity, which I think was like Bad Baby or something back in 2018. And it did amazing. Like organically, she sent I think 50,000 or 80,000 followers to our clients' accounts. And we're like, this is something that we can monopolize and build a brand around and build trust around in a area where a lot of people aren't trusting, right?
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting the results. And so that's what we did. And we started reaching out to more celebrities as we built credibility around the brand, which is high key clout. We were able to just continue to expand and scale that model up over the past few years.
I'm curious, when you meet these celebrities, because I've seen the photos, you've been in photos with Rick Ross and Da Baby and then the Little Baby and all the babies. and when you meet these people, I'm just curious, as a youngster, someone in your 20s, and you're meeting these people that, some people idolize them. I listen to their music sometimes. How does that feel? What does that look like for you when you and your brothers are able to do something so young and meet these sort of people and partner with them? How does that look like? Is it something that's normal for you? Is that something that you're like, whoa, this is pretty crazy? Are they normal people? What's that look like?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you're younger, you're also more impressionable. So I was 18 at the time meeting these people. And I always had high values for myself and high standards. I don't drink, I don't smoke. And so I was already not in their lifestyle, because a lot of them are partying, they're living the rapper lifestyle. Yeah. A lot of them are rappers, right? So that was kind of a separation point. But I think as I've gotten older, I've realized that their lifestyle isn't all that it seems chalked up to be, which is fame, wealth, girls. That's not everything. And a lot of them are they're neat individuals, they're unique individuals. And that's why they are who they are, because they've authentically shown that through their music and entertainment, the things that they've done. But in terms of them having it all figured out, they don't. No human does. Yeah. And so when people put them on a pedestal thinking that they're these ultimate humans that have achieved something that they would never achieve, it's just not true. They have the same problems that other humans.
I think what you're saying is very important, because entrepreneurs, specifically successful ones, they may be deemed or labeled as, hey, you've made it, right? But I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, I will get to you too, is I feel like you're always still working hard. You're still that simple person. And you're right. All of us are still learning. Obviously you guys have plenty of life ahead of you. But nonetheless, no, celebrity or not, we're always continuously learning. And when you're coming from a background of being in school for so long, Dr. Spinoso, Alex, why don't you walk us through a little bit of your history for the audience of, going through medicine, going through your crazy career. I've heard the story many times. I love it. And where you're at now. Just give us a good rundown of, what your evolution's been.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's you always feel like you're behind. no matter what. Even if you grow in entrepreneurship and you have all these businesses, you always feel like you're behind all your friends, because they say comparison's the thief of joy, but that's for people who lose.
Right.
Yeah. Winners always compare themselves to other winners all the time. Right. But no, I graduated from medical school in 2013, went to residency in Southern California. When I graduated from there, I actually ended up working in the prison. So I worked in the general population yard, baddest of the bad boys, murderers, killers, arsonists. Absolute best fucking job I ever had. Because if you gave respect, you got respect. It was straight up, face to face. I'll take care of you if you promise not to murder me. It was pretty simple.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it was like, cool, we're good. It was only one dock on the yard. We had about 2,500 to 3,000 inmates at a time. So they knew like I was the only person on the entire yard who was going to put them together. Yeah. So if they got stabbed, they got, hit, they got in a fight, they're laying out there, it's only me. That's it. They knew that. So I was treated like royalty by the gangs and obviously the guards on both sides. And I did that for about 2.5 years. And it was the same thing over and over, 40 hours a week, which in the government meant you worked about 8 hours truly. Mm-hmm. And it was just the same BS over and over and over. Nothing different. I mean, stabbing here and learning how to make a shiv out of Jolly Ranchers and crap like that. Got old after a while.
Right.
But, I decided, I want to do something else. I want to run something else. I had been in the medical field. I went through urgent cares and learned, how businesses were ran, and realized that, hey, in the medical field, as you know, nobody knows how to run a business.
Nope.
And these guys are all just, figuring it out. And most of the time they're figuring it out terribly, because they got an MD or a DO behind their name, and they say like, I know everything from now on, and nobody can tell me anything, and I can't learn. Right. And so they shut down and they shut everybody out, and then they just treat everybody like crap. And the medical field is riddled with terrible bosses, terrible people, etc. And I want to be different. So I decided to build my own business, and I didn't know what it was going to be, but my wife and I started saving up for building our company, whatever it was going to be in the medical field. I thought it was going to be urgent cares at the time, because I worked at a lot of urgent cares, and I thought, if this idiot can do this, I can definitely do this. My boss was terrible. And after about a year of saving, I ended up, we had about $100,000, and we had moved out of our home in Palm Springs at the time, and we moved into the front foyer of a 5-bedroom house. And we moved into the foyer because the other 5 bedrooms were actually already rented by people. And we had I went to Home Depot, bought 8 foot by 10 feet plywood, put it up as our doors, and we slid them back and forth as our doors in the morning. We had our mattress on the floor, a bunch of trash bags all around that. We lived there. And I never forget the first time I met Ricky, who lived there as well. And because Ricky was sitting in the living room on the floor, on the cold floor, half naked, just kind of staring up at the ceiling. And I was like, hey, how you doing, Rick? It's nice to meet you. And he was just like, I'm great. And that's when I learned that we had moved into a crack house.
Wow.
So wasn't a big deal, though. We were never home.
Yeah.
It was $250 a month to rent. We ended up living there for a year and a half. And during that process, I ended up getting into a mastermind. And it wasn't a medical mastermind. And for those that don't know, mastermind is just a group of business owners or business people coming together to kind of help solve each other's problems. And ended up spending half of our life savings, about $50,000, to get into that mastermind. And jumped in 2 feet first, said, I'm going to soak up everything I possibly can. In this, ended up meeting another gentleman who had ran med spas, like weight loss centers, actually. He had 3 of them at the time. His name is Brent. And we ended up hitting it off because we were the only kind of medical based people in the field. And he said, hey, why don't you come work for me? I said, absolutely fucking not. He said, why don't we become partners? He said, okay, now we're talking. Let's do it. And we opened our first clinic together in Las Vegas. I moved from Palm Springs with my wife. We sold our house, went all in, moved to Las Vegas, and started our first company there, first location there in August of 2019, August 1st. And then since then, we've kind of just been snowballing, and every chance we get, we buy a new clinic, roll up a new location, acquire a new B2B company, and now we own 80 locations, or we have 80 locations in our Genesis brand. That's the med spa brand. We started to get into the B2B world about a year ago. So we have now 2 compounding pharmacies that service our companies and others. We have a CRM company that, you know, does all the leads and stuff like that. Like, you know, that world way better than I have. I have a CEO for that I don't know. I let him nerd out on that because he loves it like you do, and is really good. But I have a CRM company, the pharmaceuticals. I also do a lot of manufacturing and wound care as well. So I have a distribution and wound care company, and really everything has been in my vertical. Everything has been just there. I've never spread out because that's what I know. I know a lot of people say diversify and do this and that. It's all been in the medical field because it's truly all I know.
Well, it makes sense too. If you're going to take some risk, entrepreneurship is a risk, might as well take it in your kind of lane, right? In your field. That way, you know how to contribute to it. It's not completely foreign to you. And if it is, like you said, appoint someone who's really good at it, have them run it, and you can kind of influence it every now and then.
Absolutely.
But no, I think that's brilliant. And I wanted to bring up the first topic, which is education. Education when it comes to just how it's evolved, how it's now perceived, perhaps. I think that when you and I were probably growing up, you know, it was a prestige, and it still is. However, you know, Italian, right? Indian, we have very
Italian, Puerto Rican.
We have very stubborn families.
Yeah, totally.
You know, our parents, our cultural values are similar in the context of very strong values, very, you know, traditional, specifically your first or second generation. You get a lot of that. Hey, go to school, you know, be that engineer, lawyer, or something.
I was going to say
something.
Sam
right?
Patel, you're definitely an engineer, lawyer.
Oh yeah,
sure.
that with my last name, you'd get disowned if you weren't if we weren't one of those 3 things.
You actually made a video on Patel.
Yeah, right. It's ridiculous. So then there's like a million of us, but nonetheless, how Alex, how do you view it now? I mean, you see these youngsters, like we were sitting right next to one, and you know, you and I went through this path of sacrifice in terms of our time, right? Sacrifice with going through our 20s into just dedication to school and our craft. And I don't have any regrets. I'm pretty sure you don't either. But if we were to look at it again and look at maybe this new generation, you have some kids, and they are going to be growing into this world of opportunity. How do you foresee this evolving, and how do you foresee it as it is now and what it's going to be?
It's totally, we're opposite. Did you finish high school and then you didn't do college?
Well, COVID actually hit during high school. So I kind of like dipped
You're
out.
that young? Holy shit.
Right.
Okay, yeah, right.
So I left like, cause like COVID, like your grades couldn't go down once it hit. So I'm like, okay, well, there's no more work to do here.
I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. Okay.
I dipped out.
Peace out.
There was no post-secondary.
Love it.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And terrible, but awesome at the same time. Because you realize like you're making a ton of money even without that degree. And it was a very humbling thing when I got into that mastermind that I talked about. I walked in, there was 50 other entrepreneurs there. I had the most degrees by far, you know, MD, MBA, you know, all of it. I had all of it. And I made the least amount of money by far.
That's crazy.
By far the least amount of money. Half the guys hadn't graduated high school. You know, a quarter of them had gone to prison. Like, and they all made more money than me. So, you know, growing up now, I tell people, if you want to get into the medical field, you have to make sure you fucking love it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I went into being a doctor because it was a fallback. It was like, hey, what can I do that will give me security for a long period of time? And a degree was it. You know, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, but my body gave out. That's for fucking sure. Yeah. But it was like, okay, what's a fallback? And I had a conversation when I was 16 with my dad, and he was like, well, because I want to be a car mechanic. He's like, well, you can probably be a car mechanic and kind of starve, because the trades were not, when we were growing up, were not like you're making $50K a year, if that. Right. You know? Or you can go to medical school, finish your degree, get a higher level job, and make more money, because that's the time that we grow up in. Yep. Now, with my kids, the only reason they go to school now is just for socialization. They're not learning anything different. Right. It's the same cost to have a personal tutor, a nanny, come to the house and teach them. I mean, even when they get older, my wife, Steph, and I have already spoken that we'll probably do a homeschooling pod like Elon Musk or a lot of wealthy entrepreneurs do, because again, you can control them, you could teach them. And I've got a lot of colleagues now who 100% homeschool their kids. And nowadays it's completely different, because when we were growing up, you got the homeschool kid was a fucking weirdo.
Yes.
That dude was strange, like, sat in a room like this with black walls all day long and couldn't socialize with other humans. Now, I mean, they do schooling for 3 hours and then they're doing all the old school stuff. They're doing home ec. They're going to the local tire shop and changing tires and learning about cars. And then they're speaking 2 different languages. And then they're doing sports in the afternoon.
Developing like skills.
Yeah, they're actually being humans and having fun and playing and stuff like that, rather than sitting in a classroom, built off the Third Reich from the 1940s.
Right.
So
useless knowledge. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what school is now, is to learn how to socialize, how to talk to other people.
Yeah.
That I think there's a lot of value in, right? People always ask, what did college do for you? I'm like, probably made me more confident. School wise, nothing. Like I don't do organic chemistry, physics. Like I don't fucking remember that.
No.
And that's the whole point, is that we spend so much money, and not just time, but money invested into education. And then we're fighting back to just kind of resolve that debt. And then we see, 20-year-olds like the one next to us, taking a whole nother path and just grinding. And then we realize we're like, should we have done that? Like, do we tell our kids to do that? Cause I feel like I would at this point. If they wanted to.
I'm 16 years older than you. I'm 38. Like I can't imagine in 16 years how crushing it you're going to be.
Right.
How crushing. And people always say, like, I had a great lesson actually from an entrepreneur early on. And the lesson was that the time that you give up now is not the time that you give up now. Going to school for us, doing things like that for us right now, that's not the time you give up. The time you give up is the time at the end of your life.
Right.
So the 8 years that I gave up going to school, 12 years that I gave up going to school, and I wouldn't change it, but for somebody else, 12 years that you give up now is the 12 years that you give up from your 50s to your 60s or your 60s to your 70s, where you have the most amount of money and can do the most things with it.
Right.
That's what you give up, not this time ahead of,
that's so true.
ahead of you.
That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, with the education, like it's hard for you guys to say, like, what could we have done differently in terms of like going to school, because there wasn't the level of access that you have now to the information that's out there.
That's true.
That's very true. You can look up anything on YouTube now and get walkthrough, get how-to videos.
Yeah, we sat in fucking public libraries.
Literal libraries searching through books, right? Yeah. And like in like history, it was like the Bible. Right.
Yeah.
So like now there's just like so much more access to information. And like, this is what I tell people in the aesthetics industry, like physicians and all these people with the education, you got to distribute it. Like you got to share the information with your patients, with people, and then become a health resource.
Actually, with that topic, social media, I mean, this is a platform, you're active on it. I'm learning more about it. Obviously, that's what you guys do as a business. How important, and I would love to kind of hear from both of you, and I would love to give my feedback too, in terms of social media and how it's impacting, good and bad, the world of learning, education. Of course, there's proper education, there's misinformation. So like I said, there's good and bad, but you mentioned the level of access now is different from the time that we were in school. Now kids at any age, very young, can learn very quickly. How are you seeing that? You mentioned you work with a lot of aesthetics practices. How is that evolving in, the digital arena in aesthetics? Why is it so important today for medical practices and businesses to be adopting social media, to be adopting putting information out there on the web?
Yeah. Well, there's multiple reasons. One of them is that people don't know who you are and what you do and the services that you offer and how it can benefit them. So understanding those things, and like when you're posting content, you're actually educating people, you're providing them value on the services and the things that you do in a way that's like enticing them, like they could actually benefit from what you're doing. And then another one is just like, there's so much garbage out there. There's so many like kids, creators without the education that are farming an audience off of false ideas, like pretty much false information, where experts have the opportunity to come in, literally react to these videos, myth bust, and do all these things to take their audience who are lost in a world of misinformation and bring them towards the expert. And I think if people understand that more, like in the aesthetics industry, that they can actually like help people beyond just in their physical location, then we'd be able to go into a world where, you know, health can be accessible to the general public.
No, that's true. It's a good perspective. Alex, what is your thoughts on?
I want to unpack that a little bit more, because you said some words that I am not nerdy enough to know about. So you're talking about like farming and all that stuff. Like, describe what's happening in the world or what you see versus what people should be doing.
Yeah. So like the farming aspect is just like using all the different strategies and tactics to capture an audience and then like bring them into your ecosystem. And so these young people who have like not the right information, they're not experts, but they have the tactics and they understand how to build an audience. They're doing that effectively. And then we have on the other side, the actual experts, the people that have gone through the schooling, the people that continue their training, but they don't have the tools on social media to distribute and farm an audience.
Got it.
And so
that's where you come in.
Yeah.
So like nerds like us, I don't know about any of these cameras. I don't know about how this is set up. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? This guy's got like 17 different things attached to this camera. And I'm like, I want it. I could never use it. But so you're talking about the connection where you're bringing that technology side to people like us that are just old and sitting in front of a mic like, okay, I'll just sit here and talk while you guys set all this up to get this pretty much out in front of people to build that audience, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes beyond like just the physical technology. It goes into like psychology, which is like, you know, how do you disrupt an audience in the first 3 seconds when they're viewing something on social media so that they watch the rest of the video? How do you evoke emotion? How do you capture attention? And so there's tactics around that. And, you know, those are usually called the hook, which is like the first 2 to 3 seconds of the video. When people are scrolling, you know, are they able to engage with the video and then stay engaged throughout the entire video? So there's a lot of like psychology that goes behind
those are the tools you were mentioning that the non-experts are really good at capturing that audience with a hook, but the experts, in this case, for example, us two, we aren't knowledge on how to hook people. We just talk shit, but we don't know what specifically to say to capture someone's attention. And of course, that's where your value comes in with teaching individuals like ourselves. Hey, here's how to position yourself as an expert that you are, but you got to do it in an eloquent way, because otherwise those other people that are talented with hooks are going to beat you. And that's scary because they have the shitty information.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'll give an example. So like there's like I was putting these together for some clients just this morning, but there's this like one trend, and it's like the jaw sizer. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like the jazzercise thing. Yeah. And then there's like hard gum and like all these different like trends of like how to get a chiseled jawline. And then like these creators, they'll come and
obviously use them all. Fucking look at this guy. This guy. Holy crap. This guy knows about chiseled jaws.
I use Whole Foods.
Yeah. That's why I grow a beard, my friend. That's why I grow a beard. I don't have that. Yeah.
No, but like they, and the creators like effectively capture an audience with these things, even though they're not nearly as good as what some of the experts in the aesthetics industry are using, like the M face, which is like something that goes on your face and like can actually like stimulate muscle tone and all these things like effectively without giving you TMJ, without making your teeth crooked. But the creators that know how to capture attention, they'll come in with a very creative hook. Like, here's how to get a chiseled jawline, not only saying it, but showcasing their jawline. So they have a visual hook and then also the verbal hook.
So and then instantly someone's going to continue to watch.
Instantly, someone who's interested in the video is going to watch that all the way through to see if it's something that, you know, they're going to buy or benefit from, right? But then in the aesthetics industry, what people normally do is they just go in right for their promotion without no hook. Here's the M face. First of all, no one knows what the M face is, right? This device, and then no one knows why it benefits them. And so they go in with a random thing and then they promote it right away without providing education on the benefits. And so they just don't know how to capture the audience. But if you know how to capture the audience, then it's a very effective way to not only help people and bring them towards the right solutions, but then also convert that audience into paying customers.
That's been huge.
It's a huge world of learning. I mean, this media world, digital world. Alex, as you've built all of your practices and you guys have scaled to over 80 locations, how important has marketing been in terms of even traditional methods of marketing, social media marketing, kind of the things that he's mentioning? You mentioned that you're starting to become more active with these podcasts and educating people for your brand. So I know you know how this has evolved, but how important has it been for kind of the growth of your information to patients, but also your information to physicians that may be wanting to join your brand?
Yeah, it's been honestly invaluable because, and at the beginning, truly, I'm an introvert. I hate social media. I hate sitting in front of the camera and recording and stuff like that. But somebody's got to do it. And it ain't going to be my business partner. I'll tell you that much. He does not like to talk on camera. With that being said, I have gone through probably 10, 15 different marketing agencies as well, because there's all these players, like you said, in this world that are fake. And that's in every type of world. And the company you had before, that was it High Clout? High Key Clout. Do you still have that?
Yeah, so we still have that as a branch. It's just not as.
And so what's the main business name now?
High Key Agency.
High Key Agency. So guys, look that up. So people like High Key Agency are very important. We use motion media. There's a bunch of other very good people out there that are creating these types of systems, these types of education to get out there. And it's, at the beginning, I thought, hey, it's just for branding. We just got to get it out there. Like, just do it because everybody else is doing it. And that's just it. All your competition is doing it.
Right.
So if you're not doing it, you're not doing the bare minimum to compete. But beyond that, it's turned into a huge recruiting tool. We have providers that message us, hey, I don't really like my job. Like, you seem like a great place to work for. And we've had providers, we've had salespeople, MAs. They've started to follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, reached out to us via Instagram to start to join our team. And that's how we've grown. When it comes to acquisition of companies and people that want to join us, we do that all the time. We're always buying med spas and acquiring them. And again, all of our stuff is out there. Like, nothing that we do or say on a podcast or a video or YouTube is lies. Like, everything that we say on it is the same in real life, which in this world, authenticity is a big problem sometimes. So it's allowed us to recruit people to our brand in terms of entire companies joining us, selling to us. We acquire them and bring them into our brand, helping them grow as well and helping them scale. And I know it's the same with you, and we didn't actually get to introduce you at the beginning, but you've gone from business owner, you grew these multiple clinics, and then you sold, I think, 12 clinics, correct, as a group. So you've gone from that entire world to now the other side, which is now consulting, high-level consulting tens of thousands of clinics like ours and growing them, working with media companies and doing your own. And you can see how it's really helped you recruit more people too.
Oh, absolutely. I think that we were talking about this offline earlier, is that in the world of medicine, there's more people that are unfortunately failing than there are succeeding. And it goes back to your earlier point, is that physicians come out of school thinking they know everything, but they know nothing about business. They know nothing about hiring. They know nothing about how to treat team members properly, how to properly compensate them. They come in and they're kind of the god in the clinic and everyone else is forgotten. And what I quickly realized is, I think when I built my first practice, it taught me a lot, right? I built the first practice. It was a medical weight loss clinic primarily. We did a lot of insurance medicine, and it was just me and one other person. So I would have two cell phones. My wife was like, what's the other cell phone for? I'm like, it's the clinic phone. It's the clinic phone.
For the ladies.
Yeah. Right. Right. I got two. What's that? Sorry, I got two phones.
Two phones. Yeah.
So, but no, it was two phones, one for the clinic. Not that exciting. I don't live like that rapper life. No.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we understood what it meant like to be the receptionist. We understood what it meant like to draw the blood, to give the injection, to check the vitals, to mop the floors, to clean the bathroom. Like the janitor, you were looking at him, right? And so we understood, I think, very quickly the challenges of those roles and gained a lot of respect for those roles. And so I think that's how I learned it so quickly. And then as we opened up the second clinic and third and fourth, I still wanted to do those roles because I don't really trust anyone, but also I wanted to make sure it was done properly until I found someone that I could trust. And as we realized that, we built a good business of culture and a good cultural setting because we respected each position. We respected the front desk person, the nurse, the manager, the secretary, whatever they were. We understood because we lived that role. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we had that sort of luxury of learning that quickly versus if you go straight into a healthcare system, you have all those people already pre-assigned to you and you just know you, and you are typically the top of your food chain, the physician. But when you've worked those other roles because you had to grind and open your own practice and open multiple of them, you grow an appreciation for it. So as I opened those businesses, every time we hired, I understood what was needed. I understood the challenges. I also understood what they deserved because I understood it by doing it. And I'm like, this person deserves a lot because that job's hard, right? That receptionist job is difficult. I'm gonna treat them right, whereas most people in the world treat them terribly. And then that translated over to the consulting world. 3 years ago we had the opportunity to exit, and I realized, okay, well, this is cool. I kind of wanted to do what you're doing now, which was build a bunch of practices. But we had this opportunity of, speaking a lot around the world and teaching people how to do things. So we have our clinical division of training where we do medical weight loss training and injectable training, all that good stuff. And then we have our business development training, which is what keeps us the most busy because physicians don't know how to run businesses. And it's been a really great transition into consulting. But what's been most difficult is, honestly, I feel sad that this many people that have gone through so much school, that have $250,000 of debt, are this challenged with marketing, hiring, staff training, and just scaling businesses. And that I'm glad groups like you exist because you give them kind of a sign of hope, right? You're like, hey, listen, you're good at medicine, but you're clearly not good at a business. So let me absorb your business and let me give you an infrastructure. So I think groups like yours have to exist. And if they're not ready for groups like yours, they come to people like me. And they're like, hey, you know what? I just want to keep it my own. I want to figure this out. Maybe I'm brand new. And we help them to hopefully get to someone like you even.
Right.
And so I think that there's a beautiful synergy about the different types of resources that you provide, that we all provide. And unfortunately, there's not enough of us. And then I guess fortunately, that's a good thing too. That keeps us having a living. But nonetheless, I think it's been a very great transition, and it's not getting any easier. It's not getting any better. I think physicians are just becoming significantly more challenged with knowledge. I don't foresee it changing. A lot of practice owners are going into the cash-based model. You're seeing this. Aesthetics is on the rise. Wellness is on the rise. Functional medicine, concierge medicine is on the rise. And I think the opportunity is only going to become bigger. The opportunity for clinics to be absorbed by a great sort of system and conglomerate, clinics to be trained operationally, and clinics to be marketed properly. And that's why I like this kind of group right here, because we're seeing it from a different world, right? Practice owners do not know how to run a practice, and they need to be absorbed. They need to know how to market and display themselves, grow a personal brand. And they need to know how to operationally revamp themselves. And that's why I think we enjoy our lives a little bit more now, because do we do patient care? No. But do we help physicians give better patient care? Yes. And I think that's a pretty cool gratification. I'm sure in your world, it's probably similar, where you're now able to, you knew the challenges of operating a practice, and now you're kind of relieving that challenge off of people by absorbing them or by partnering with them. I would love to kind of see or hear what that transition's been for you as well.
Yeah, I think it's super important what you said to touch on, really pull out the most important part of what you said is there should be no job in your business that you are above. Mm-hmm. And a lot of business owners, as you guys know, you're dealing in this world, are like, well, that's not my job. Like, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Right. The front desk person's supposed to be doing that. Like, motherfucker. That's business. How you get money. That's how you literally know that's how you get money, right? That phone person, like if she's overwhelmed, pick up a phone,
right?
Like mop the floor, do something. And you're being not above those jobs in your business is why you're wildly successful. And doctors need to realize that too. I've got a 22-year-old kid I'm sitting across from who can run circles around me in marketing. Yeah. He's the expert. You should be hiring people like this in your business, not doing it yourself. Yep. Because again, if you build it, they will come. For a business is absolute bullshit. Nobody's going to come.
Yep.
They're not going to know, except for maybe your friends and your family, and they're not going to pay full price.
No.
They're going to complain about it. So you need people in your business that are professionals to market it and to bring people into the companies 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I think that, as you've kind of immersed yourself into the world, you're coming in at a really interesting time into this industry. I mean, aesthetics, wellness, cash-based medicine, we've seen it. I mean, med spas were like kind of like a, hey, taboo voodoo thing. It's like, all right, you're going to a med spa, and you almost kind of, as a consumer, as a patient, people made fun of you. Like, oh, you're going to get Botox, right? Yeah. Now it's like, you don't get Botox, like that. You're the outsider. And so how is your kind of feeling on this evolution of cash-based medicine, of aesthetics, wellness, functional medicine, rehabilitative medicine? I mean, we're living in a pretty cool time right now. I mean, it's a really exciting time of medicine, really, overall. But we're also in a time of medicine where there's almost a battle, right? You have insurance and big pharma, and then you have the real medicine, let's call it, right? Mm. Regenerative, rehabilitative, cash-based, semaglutides, tirzepatides, peptides. And there's a clash, and you can see the big pharma, and then you can see insurance. There's just this power struggle. And between the power struggle are the physicians. Do I stay with the hospital? Do I stay insurance? Do I go cash-based? Do I take that risk? What are your thoughts on this evolution? And because this guy's the one marketing it, and we're the ones that are lucky to have firms like, yours, the one that you use and the one I use, and to help us propagate this voice. But we're the ones kind of right in the center of that. What are you thinking about this transition? Well,
you've been around for a while. I want to hear from you as well, specifically. How did COVID affect your business? And then after COVID, what has it been like?
So during COVID, people were actually trying to get out there more, right? Because they saw it as an opportunity, because everyone was on their devices a lot more because they couldn't do anything else. So everyone had the opportunity to grow brands at a much faster rate. And so people were wanting to invest. Our business didn't really stall at all. It actually grew at a decent amount during COVID. More people were investing in giveaways. More people were wanting to grow their personal brands and scale that side up. So I don't think COVID had really much effect on us. But in terms of like broadly going on the aesthetics industry regarding like potential with social media, like the real issue that people have is just not understanding the benefits that can come from building a personal brand and posting on social media. And like you said, right, attracting talent is a huge one, right? There's a lot more though, like improving patient conversions, competitive advantage. Like if someone comes to a clinic and their digital presence sucks and their physical presence is amazing, and then someone goes to another clinic and their digital presence is amazing and their physical presence sucks, they're going to go with the one that has an appealing digital presence. So I think just keeping that in mind and making sure that your social media channels are optimized, that the content that you're posting is aligned with who you're trying to target, who you're trying to help, and then scaling that up. And like, it's like when you're working in a business, the more reps that you put in, the better that you're going to get, and the less that the competition is even going to have a chance of withstanding. And like, so the bottom line of it with people in the aesthetics industry is they're just scared to jump into the world of social media. They're scared to jump into the world of branding and building their own personal brand, and they don't want to put themselves out there.
Yeah. So you answered exactly how I thought you were going to answer. So that wasn't like a negative thing. It was I ask questions like this all the time because the really good businesses, they grew exponentially through COVID. Yep. Like the really good ones, we grew 400% a year after, during COVID. And then afterwards, it's just skyrocketed.
COVID was great for
because,
our business.
The great fact of COVID was that all the people in the hospital got treated like crap. So they got tired of working. The clients, which we call them clients in our business, but the people who come and consume our services, the patients, if you will. We don't like using that word because it suggests sick people, but the patients we are the lowest amount of trusted service now. Well, physicians, doctors, the medical field is one of the lowest amount of trusted people now. We used to be at the very top. Now nobody trusts providers, which is awesome. Because if you're really good and you really educate and you're out there telling people, hey, this is the reality of this medication or this medication or this, they're going to come to you because they're like, hey, these guys get it. These guys know, that they're not that big pharma where okay, cool, I'm going to lose weight, but side effects are death and then bleeding out of my butthole. Like that sounds terrible.
They're actually trying to help.
Yeah, they're actually trying to help. So the really good businesses like yours, they grew through COVID, they grew after COVID, and now it's an untapped resource where it's just going to continue because, again, more patients don't want regular medicine anymore. They want to actually feel better. They want something that's going to make their lives more energetic. They're going to sleep better, look better, have better sex, etc. Then you've got providers and people who want to be part of businesses where like, hey, I could either work over here and get shit on all day long, or I could work for this really great company and grow and be a part of this better thing. I can do insurance medicine if you build your own business and fight consistently against insurance and reimbursement. And somebody actually, one of my colleagues, they said, hey, we want to start getting into cash-based weight loss because they got $3 reimbursed for their weight loss visit.
Wow.
$3 was their reimbursement.
That's a joke.
For a weight loss visit.
It's like, might as well send nothing.
Yeah. Why? Right. Why? Like, thanks for the $3 check back.
Right.
You spent more on postage.
Right. Yeah.
And
ridiculous.
So, yeah, it's this cash-based, overhead where the GLP-1 world is $10 billion market cap. Now it's going to be $100 billion by 2030. I mean, people want stuff that works. They want people that are the same as them. They want to associate with good people. They want to be around good people in a business with a mission. And so that's going to help recruit. And then you're just going to scale like crazy. You see these BTL events have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger that we speak at. And there's more and more people investing in devices like these and breaking the chains of all the old school healthcare and medicine.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think that where technology is evolving, medicine's evolving. We see that because we are very well invested into brands like BTL that, of course, help rehabilitate different areas of the body, whether it's skin, muscle, fat loss, pelvic floor therapy, sexual wellness. You've actually had the opportunity of trying some of these treatments out. Yeah. I think just in Canada, not too long ago, like a few days ago, you tried the M-Face, you tried the M-Cella, you've tried the M-Scope Neo in the past. As a young individual, how do you see these technologies and the use of them impacting kind of the future generations? As a young individual, how do you see the benefits of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to like supplements, except on roids, right? Because like you have your supplements, but you still got to eat whole foods. You still got to eat healthy. But with these devices, it's almost like to some extent they can take over the muscle building process and like do the fat burning and visceral fat burning more effectively than certain workouts, right? Like I think that the M-Skull Neo, you can do like what is it, like 200,000 crunches? 20,000 crunches instead of going to the gym. And,
it's crazy.
And then not getting sore afterwards. It's like, that's a pretty sweet deal. So I think it's interesting from that standpoint. I mean, I've always been like a gym goer and like, dedicated to my fitness and health journey. So I think it's just more of an add-on. Like when you're in that mindset, then you're going to want to use as much as you can. Yeah. If you're not in that mindset, I think it'll help you like get into it by like seeing immediate results. So it'll help those people. And then, yeah, I mean, if you're a gym goer though, like you're going to want to use it for supplementation.
I think that you see that the GLP-1s and you have compounding pharmacies, so you see it even more intimately, is that there's this battle, right? We have these amazing technologies coming on the horizon. We have these amazing medications that are on the market, but then we have this constant battle and pushback for like, hey, Big Pharma is going to sue you or you're going to be shut down. And I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit. We might get into a little bit of controversial territory here, but there's politics, right? I mean, we're talking politics here, that the world doesn't want people to be healthy because healthy people are not good for business. I'm just going to say it, right? That's the world we live in, is that if we can give compounded medications on a mass scale, which we can do right now, Big Pharma is going to be pissed, because if Big Pharma can't prescribe these other medications for high blood pressure, for diabetes, for high cholesterol, for all these other things that weight issues cause, then they're going to be their bottom line's shot. And that's not good for business for them. At least that's my perspective. I'm curious to know yours.
So you're absolutely right. Big pharma in the US healthcare system, quite honestly, wants people to stay sick. They profit from it. They profit extremely from it. I mean, the data shows that 80% of a person's expenditure on healthcare happens within the last 2 weeks of their life.
Wow.
So the sicker you get,
it's sad.
It's sad. 80% of your healthcare expenditures usually happen in the last 2 weeks of your life. So the sicker you get, the more money they're going to profit. And at the same time, you're absolutely right. If you're dipping into these people's pockets, they're going to get really upset about it. Now, there are obvious clients and patients that can't take these medications, that can't do these doses, that, again, things like an M-Sculpt machine or things that BTL does, you're not going to be able to get from any of these guys. These guys are just meds, and that's it. And that's the mistake that people think, is that there has to be this battle between the two. When you put those two together, you're going to have a result in a patient that is well beyond just using one or just using the other. So combination therapies have always been a thing in medicine. And you know that too. If you just try and be a one-trick pony, then it's really not going to be the outcome you want. Marketing world, again, I don't know a lot, but if you just try and post Instagram reels all day long and nothing else, you're probably not going to drive a lot of business. You're not going to get your name out there. You have to do all these different things. Like you said, farming, doing hooks, making sure you're doing YouTube, making sure you have a really good website, making sure you have a really good marketing company driving clients. And it's all part of creating something that's perfect for the client. Getting the best results really is the goal. And you're right. They are focused on profits, not getting the results.
Yep. And I think that's the battle that patients face, but that's also a battle that we face, that we're building these practices, helping people building these practices, and they're trying to get away from that toxic world, and we're bringing them into the light, but that toxic world still is hovering behind them, saying, hey, listen, you went off and you're doing it on your own. Well, we're not going to let you. And that it's kind of frustrating, right? And it's very interesting to see, and I think I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of physicians that want to come into the cash-based medicine world. And they're just scared. They're scared of the stuff that they're seeing. They're like, okay, well, am I going to be allowed to do this long term? Am I going to get in trouble? Is this going to be a high risk? I'll just stay up in the hospital and kind of, have my security. But then they have no life, right? And they have no exit strategy. And so there is a tough discussion there. And I think it's about taking risks, right? I think that I always tell business owners, I tell physicians, you took a risk going into this career. You spent majority of your youth, sacrificed it for this outcome, and you're scared of risk. You already took the risks. You took big risks. Going through med school, all of that was a financial risk. And then they sit here and say, should I risk going into, practicing better medicine, which is the craziest thing. I mean, that's the risk they're taking, is practicing better medicine.
Right. Yeah. And because it's not a legal risk at all. The cure for that is literally, I tell any provider, any business owner, anyone, go on the Department of Justice, DOJ website, and read all the medical cases. That will cure you of your fear, 100%. Because the DOJ has a 99.9% conviction rate. Once you stand in front of them, once they raid your clinic, once they pull you in, 99.9% you are being convicted, because they always go off of two things. One, if you're defrauding or hurting people, and two, the intent to defraud or hurt people. And then they'll let you do it for half a decade. They'll let you do whatever you're doing for 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
Every time. And you read the cases today, 2024, the people that they bust this year have been doing whatever they've been doing since 2019.
That's insane.
That's why they have a 99.9% conviction rate. They'll let you bury yourself. And if you're a bad person, I totally agree. You should go to jail. You should lose your license. You should lose everything. Yeah. But 99% of people are not bad people. They just think from medical school, if I take this pen, I'm going straight to jail. There's no other option that I have. And so go read the DOJ website, and it's filled with people who like defrauded Medicare for $50 million, had kickbacks. They knew that they were doing wrong, hurt patients. They knew they were doing wrong, and they did it year after year after year. One prescription that you missed, right, you're not going to jail. One machine, one GLP-1, even in large volumes, if your intent is to help people, and you are doing that to help people, you are never going to get in trouble. Yeah, you might get a letter at some point. Hey, you messed up on this or this, but the board is filled with people like us. They're not filled with people who are a-holes like, I'm going to burn you to the ground. Like, it's not like movies. There's like the guy on the other side from the board is like, he's wearing his Starsky and Hutch sunglasses and he wants to kill you. Like, that's not real life. There are people like us who just got bored and is like, I'm going to work for the medical board now for a little bit because it's a good cush job. They're just like us. And so curing that fear is literally going on there and realizing that there is no risk. The risk is not doing it and you sit in your job 9 to 5 the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
You know, and again, you have in healthcare, there are so many jobs nowadays because people don't want to do it anymore. Like the worst case is you walk back into the hospital that you worked for and say, can I have a job? Boom. You will be hired on the spot.
There's plenty of jobs out there, right? The biggest risk is the one that you don't take. I mean, that's really straight up what it is. People are so focused on not taking a risk, but it's like someone else's. So
So let's talk to the people who have taken the risks and they're in business. And like for you guys specifically, like maybe walk through some more like tactical advice on the business operation side of things, scaling a team, culture, like some of the more important things that they would need to know after they've taken the risk so that they can scale their clinic.
That's a great question. I think for me is like find people that have the knowledge. I think that physicians become arrogant and that's why they become resistant because they don't want to go and do it because they don't know the knowledge. So definitely go to conferences, go hire someone, right? Seek out help, partner with individuals like Alex or, you know, myself or anyone that can help that has done it. I think that's the biggest thing advice wise I have is that physicians or nurse practitioners, whatever, medical healthcare providers that want to go into being an entrepreneur, that want to go into building a clinic, owning a med spa, opening up a cash-based practice. Yeah, it's freaking scary. Like you're going to be shitless scared. And it should be scary. Opening a business is not supposed to be fun and games. If it was, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's not easy, but there's so much help out there. There's resource out there. There's people out there. And the ones that ask for help will get it, right? And I think that that's the biggest thing is go to conferences, message people like Alex or myself, be like, hey, I'm opening a clinic. What should I do? I mean, I love messages like that, right? And people get scared to be like, I'm not going to bother them. Well, if you're not bothering me, someone else is, and they're succeeding. And so that's the biggest thing is don't be scared. You're always constantly learning. Even in today's world, I'm learning every single day. You know, I'm learning right now, to be honest with you. And so that's the curiosity you have to have. You are always you're never done learning. And I think this moment you're done learning, you're done breathing, right? I mean, that's where your business dies. That's where your brain dies. So that's the biggest advice I have for physicians that are on the other side, that are scared, that are worried. You know, my wife's a hospitalist, right? She's a hospitalist at a really, really good hospital in Chicago area. And she has that fear. She's like, Sam, you know, this is all I know. I want to go to that world that you're in. It seems fun. It looks like you're helping lots of people and businesses. I want to do that. I said, listen, just take the leap. And she did, right? Now she's on our side. But I see it even with people I'm really close to, that they have fears of going in off on their own, because what if they fail, right? Failure is the biggest allergy people have when you fail. But, you know, it was actually one of our good buddies down in Florida, you know, that's a client of yours. He taught me something really, really great. He said, Sam, because I told him I'm afraid to fail. He's like, Sam, there's no such thing as failure. They're moments of learning. And I'm like, that's brilliant, right? Like there's no such thing as failure. They're moments of learning. And so physicians need to be get outside mindset of failure and realize you're just going to learn. And if you learn slowly and you make a mishap. It's okay. Learn from it and you keep going. Same thing in medicine, right? You misprescribe something, you misdiagnose something. It's not failure. It's a moment of learning. You're like, got it. Okay. I got to look out for that next time. And that's the biggest thing. And, that's what I'm mentoring people when they come to me. And I think Alex's version is probably much different on a larger scale because he's going to practices that are already there. And so, I think that I would love to hear your answer on kind of how you would give advice to a physician that is trying to go into, the non-handcuffed medicine world, into the world that we live, and what advice you have for them.
Yeah. So number one, the first advice I would give, that's phenomenal. And I want to add to that as well. There's a great book called Relentless Solution Focus that I always talk about. And it's based off the fact that it was written by two physicians, and it's based off the fact that most of our time we think of all the things that can go wrong. What's the worst that can happen? And again, the studies show that 9 times out of 10, that never happens ever. And it's more than 9 times out of 10. It's like 99 times out of 100. Yeah. That one thing you think of never happens. It's just another thought that you have. So again, I always tell people, okay, what's the worst that can possibly happen when you try? Like if you want to leave the hospital and you want to build your own business, what is the worst possible thing that can happen? You fail. And then you walk back into the hospital and you get the same job that you had before.
Right.
And you save up some more money and you try it and do it again. It's the worst thing that can happen. Like you don't go to jail unless you go out and try and kill someone. Like try to kill someone is the point of this. The worst is not the worst. The worst is like, okay, cool. I'm right back where I am right now, making the same amount of money right now, living the same life right now. So that's the worst. That's the bottom of the barrel. Then on top of that, clinics that I always talk to are making sure, exactly like he said, you're finding and messaging people like Sam. Hey, I'm stuck with this. I'm stuck with this. And again, I don't want to bother you. What do you mean you don't want to bother me? And I get people that we acquire or partner with that are part of our group in Genesis now that say, oh, I didn't want to message you. I didn't want to bother you. What do you mean? That's my job. My whole job is to help fix your problems with you together. That's our whole job. That's our whole core value. That's all I do all day is fix problems. And I think Elon talks about how being a leader or a CEO is the worst job because all you do is solve people's problems all day long. But people like us, we're effed up. That's all we want to do all day long. Yep. Like, I don't want to hear about how awesome your day was. Cool. That's great. What, did you fuck up? What do we need to do better? What are the systems that we need to improve upon on a consistent basis? And having that conversation and realizing and telling them like, look, when it comes to the money thing, and we talked about successful businesses, there's only 9% of businesses in the United States that make more than $1 million gross.
That's crazy.
9% of businesses total. That means in the medical field, it's like 0.1% of businesses because you're taking that 9% is all business. So in our world, it's even less than that. And it's not that hard. People don't realize it, but it's really not that hard. You just got to find YouTube videos. There is no excuse now, and you know this because you're young, in your world now, there's no excuse for not making $1 million a year if you really want to. No excuse, because there are a ridiculous amount of videos on YouTube. There is, you probably know this. How many YouTube videos are uploaded like a day or even a month? It's billions, right? It's unbelievable the amount of content that are on these platforms now about anything, literally anything. There's no excuse for not making money in today's world. Zero. Because you can learn from the head of the Ritz-Carlton on YouTube, Disney on YouTube, Amazon,
some master
Google.
classes, so many things.
So much training out there now that as long as you keep learning, you will keep growing. Like you said, and if you're not growing, you're dying. 100% true.
Yep.
Yeah. So going into the heads of the viewers, probably one of the hardest things that, about what you just said is the focus aspect. Where are we focusing our time and energy? That's going to bring the highest ROI. That's going to grow us the most. So from your perspective, having over 80 locations now, going back to the start, where was that focus for you in growing those initial clinics? And then how did that change as you guys scaled?
In the beginning, it was, and it still is, realize that what we're doing, if you're a brick and mortar service, could be anything. You're in the people business. You are not in the medical field. You are not in the manufacturing world. Now, B2B, yes, but if you're a brick and mortar, you are a service-based company. You are taking medication from somebody else, Botox from somebody else, M-Sculpt machine from somebody else, and you're applying it to another person. You don't manufacture that at all. You are literally a middleman. Mm-hmm. So realize you're a middleman and treat anybody who comes in as like, this person is gold because they went online, they called my location, my clinic, and spent time to drive to me to get a service. So they already trust me. I just got to make sure that I deliver on that customer service. I got to make sure I do everything I can above and beyond so that they actually enjoy the service. I mean, that's the whole point. We are in the people business. We have to take care of our people first. And Ken Blanchard has he's an old author, business owner, written multiple short form books that are great for leaders. And he says that profit is the reward you get for making sure that your staff have an environment where they can take care of your clients. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you take care of your people first, you have great core values, you have great SOPs, you have great, protocols, all things that Sam and his company help businesses do and are freaking phenomenal at. You don't have to do it alone. Mm-hmm. Hire Sam, talk to Sam, ask him questions. They have it there. He's done it. He's exited. He's made it. And then he's made it again, like the second time already. Why not ask all the questions? Why not hire somebody like that? Like, hey, I want to sell your business. If you're not thinking of selling your business, then you're what's the point of building your business? That's the whole point, is like at some point leaving the business, because it was freedom in the first place. That's why we left the medical field, to have that freedom. Really. True. So always realizing that you're in the service business, you take care of your staff first, you take care of them really well, and then that will translate into taking care of your clients really well and scaling from there. So at the beginning, it's really what it was. Focusing on the core values, focusing on pouring into our staff as much as possible. And then as a result, our staff would inevitably pour into the people walking in the door, the clients every single day. And that's how we scaled that way.
And most people bypass that. Most people, their focus is straight to money. It's straight to, let me make as much money as possible because I'm used to making that $300,000, $400,000 salary in the hospital. I should be making that right now. And they skip all of that. Plus, they just don't know, right? And they forget that the culture is much different than it is in the hospital or insurance-based medicine. People are coming there and they don't really care for customer service. They care to just get healed and they get out, right? They're coming there. They're not wanting to be there. They're coming there with some medical condition, and you're there to treat them and get them out. Where in this world, they're paying cash. Sure as hell, they're going to be expecting a high level of customer experience and care. And if they don't get that, then they're going to go to your competitor. And that's where physicians have that gap that's missing. They're focused so much on building this brand, putting $1 million into a build out and focusing on the wrong things. And then they're realizing like, I'm not making any money. And then they blame everyone else. It's the front desk's fault. It's the manufacturer's fault. It's the device company's fault. Because they're the ones that supported them and supplied all the infrastructure, but somehow it's their fault, right? We hear this all the time. Everyone just wants to blame everyone else. But at the end of the day, it's the mindset that needs to be blamed, that lack of focus. And it's a lack of focus on the wrong things early stages. So exactly what he's saying is the focus that needs to be done is, how do you figure out how to help other people if you haven't have your home figured out? Right? Build your home. Your home is your practice, your business, the people in it. You got to have good core values, and then you have them go do great work. I mean, it's just like raising pets or children. You got to instill a lot of love, a lot of values, a lot of traditions, and have them understand what the mission and the vision is. And when they understand the vision, it's very clear to them, they can execute that vision. But when they just go, when that business owner just hires recklessly and then just says, go sell, make me lots of money, there's no vision. Yeah. There's no concept. There's no understanding of what to do. There's no processes. There's no work ethic. People are just on their hourly and they're like, I'm not motivated, because they have nothing to be motivated for. There's no vision that was instilled. There was no culture that was built. And the physicians and the nurse practitioners and the, medical providers and the owners of these clinics skip exactly what Alex said. And that's the issue. That's the failure. It's not because of marketing. It's not because of the fucking economy. Everyone's like, it's the economy. I'm like, no, dude, the economy's never been good. It's never actually been good for a very long time. It's had its ups and downs. Yeah. It's been good some years, bad some years, but it hasn't been amazing in a very long time. It's not gonna be amazing in a very long time. We went through, all three of our businesses went through COVID, one of the worst times in economic history, and we all killed it. Mm-hmm. I made the most amount of money. The reason I'm sitting where I am with you guys is because of COVID. COVID sucked for healthcare. And I apologize for all the people that had to suffer through it, all the families that suffered health-wise. But on a business side, it was an opportunity. And everyone wants to blame things like that. The economy, my team, hiring sucks, BTL, Saiton, Allergan, they're blame. Just blaming everyone else. But really the blame oftentimes, most times, is actually the lack of focus. Exactly what you brought up.
It's so good. That accountability. So that's one of our core values, is accountability.
Yep.
That if you have a staff member that messes up, or you have a process that messes up, or you're not making money with a machine, or your marketing isn't working, it's 100% your fault. It's your fault. Mm-hmm. And people don't like to hear that. Mm-hmm. It is your fault. You hired the wrong person. Mm-hmm. You didn't ask the right questions. You're sitting back telling your staff what to do. You're not leading your team. You don't have those core values. It is your fault, period. People don't like to hear that. And every once in a while, if our businesses are doing bad, or we had a down month here, or something's going on there, I'm always, again, the first thing we think is, who's messing up there? What's the problem? But then I always have to think back, okay, how did I mess up here? What are the problems what are the systems that I didn't put in place to make sure this didn't happen? And when we do fix that issue, or that thing comes up, then it's okay, this is the new way to do it. This is the accountability part of this. This is how we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. And people miss out on that. Everybody gets a freaking trophy now for trying. There's no winners or there's no losers. Sorry, in life, there's winners and losers, period. There's the guy that's giving me French fries and the guy who's driving his Ferrari through the drive-through, period. There's winners and losers, especially in business. Like you said, there's going to be, period. You can't if you blame external forces for anything in your life, then you are always going to be a victim, and you're never going to build a massive company. You never will, ever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, going back to the training side, I think a lot of people think that the people that work for them aren't smart, but really just has to do with them not getting trained and led well.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that I found out over the past couple of years of just building out thorough training. And when new things come up, send a message, yes, give the team an update, but you also have to build out a training so that they can absorb that. And the better the training, the better that they're going to perform within the company. And this is what a lot of people miss out on. And this is a compounding thing. As you compound your training, this is less time for you. Otherwise, it's just going to be a disorganized shit show where everyone's going to be running around with their heads cut off and there's no direct order. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested from your guys' standpoint, what are some strategies on the training side that have worked effectively within the clinics that you guys have worked on?
Dude, that's so good. I wish I had your knowledge at your age. God, you're going to kill it, man. I'm super excited to see what you do. Yeah. But no, you are 100% right. Nobody gets a job and thinks in their head, I'm totally going to go into work today and fuck this shit up. It's going to be awesome. No, nobody does that. And you're 100% right, because if somebody does mess up, it's not like they meant to. Yeah. It may seem like the dumbest thing on earth for you that they did that, but it's usually a conversation of, hey, why did you do that? Or what, who taught you how to do that? And again, it's either nobody taught them and they're just figuring it out, which is 95% of the time, because they don't want to pretend, they don't want to ask a question because they think that you're going to make them seem stupid. Mm-hmm. And the training is so important. And at the beginning, standard operating procedures, and listen to this guy because he does this for companies. But we took essentially Sam's rules And we built standard operating procedures for everything: how to say hi, how to smile, how to shake hands, how to do a consultation, how to answer the phone. Everything is scripted. And then we practiced over and over and over. And we built out what is called now Genesis University, which is a full training platform that has a 3-week onboarding, a 3-month onboarding, a 90-day onboarding. Every single service that we do on the medical side, all Botox, fillers, M-Sculpt, anything is in there. Video, audio, PDF trainings of everything, MA trainings of everything, sales staff trainings of anything. Badass. And it's a lot. It's taken years. It's taken me 4 years to build this thing. It's thousands and thousands of documents and videos and everything like that. And over. And we're always adding to it every single month, more and more and more training on top of it. But at the beginning, we didn't have that. So what do we have? We had a guy follow us around with a camera, and or our kids follow us around, or my colleagues' kids, because I didn't have kids at the time, follow us around with their phones in their hand, which they love, and video you all day long doing what you do, like taking the medication out of the cabinet and how to draw it up and stuff like that. And then we cut that up, and it was all of our standard operating procedures of how to run a clinic. This is how you talk on the phone. This is how you do this. And there's programs out there now. You take that video or you take that audio, you upload it into rev.com or Otter AI, and it transcribes it for you. And you slap it into Chat GPT and say, make this into a standard operating procedure. Boom. Within 5 minutes, you've got everything that you need to put in a folder and train and train and train and train. And there is a very good study that I always talk about with my staff, because they forget this too. All the time. Oh, Sally's not getting it. Okay, how much time have you really spent with Sally?
Right.
Oh, an hour a day. Okay, you spent literally 30 hours with her, training her for a whole month. Do you think that she's going to be at your level? You've been doing this for 5 years, 40 hours a week for 5 years. Like you trained her for 30 hours. So it's less than a week of time. Yeah. And in the study, they showed that it took 3 months of 40 hours, 3 months of full time, me standing next to Sam for 40 hours a week for 3 months to only know 80% of what Sam knows. And even then, I actually couldn't do 80% of what Sam does. I only just knew 80% of what Sam does. So you got to think about that with your staff. Like, that was 40 hours a week for 3 months.
That's insane. Yep.
That I am like in his pocket learning everything, and I still know 80%. So I'm still gapped by 20%, and I can't actually perform 80% of what he can. I mean, so you got to realize your staff, you got to be with them every single day. And again, exactly what you said is that training platform that you create, whatever you put in front of them, it doubles the amount of time that you're training. Because they'll train with you and then that on top, and then watch that over and over and over and over again.
I think everything's brilliant. Oh, you guys are saying, I think it's so much truth, and it's such an important question that you've asked and topic that you've brought up. And I think that everyone always tries to look for someone that's just as good as them, especially business owners, right? They're like, hey, they're not as good as me. No one's going to be as good as you. No one's going to be as good as you. If I'm able to see someone and they're at 75% me, I'm like, that's great, right? Like that's great. Or hire 2 people to match the level of you. No one's ever going to replicate your passion, your vision, your work ethic, your sacrifice, because you're the business owner. So for us, like business owners or physicians out there, nurse practitioners out there that are wondering like, oh, no one works as hard as me. Yeah, no one's gonna, man. No one's gonna work as hard as you. No one has to work as hard as you. You're the business owner. You're the one who has the passion. It's your child. You're going to love it the most. And so you can't expect someone else to come into your home and love your children equally. Your business is your child. And that's the whole concept, is business owners have to recruit and have to train under that pretext. They can't train and expect 100% as if it was them, the one doing the job. As he mentioned, you could be next to someone. I mean, that's amazing. 40 hours a week for 3 months and not know even nearly as much. That makes a lot of sense, because there's no reason to. There's so many missing neurological conditions of emotion that are tied there that no one will ever be able to replicate. And to your point, like creating that university you've created, brilliant. Not enough companies do that. I wish companies had the infrastructure to do that. And think about every industry that we think of. I mean, restaurants, hospitality, even Boeing, right? People that make planes, flights, pilots. What do they all do? They're all consistent. Consistency is what builds greatness. You mentioned you were an athlete before. You're still an athlete. We're mental athletes. That's what business is. Business is a sport of mental athleticism. We are mental athletes. No one works harder mentally than we do in this room. That's just fact, right? Sports athletes, they're athletic in their bodies with their craft. But what are they also doing? I love college basketball. They're consistent. They go hit the 3-point line. They do 1,000 shots all week, consistency. And that's how they build greatness. And that's where people lack greatness is they're not consistent with anything. They're not consistent with their training. They're not consistent with how they operate this procedure, that protocol. A patient comes in for one type of visit. If they see this nurse or this nurse, it's 2 different processes. So the patient is like, this place is inconsistent. Consistency is what builds greatness. It builds greatness in athletes. It builds greatness in entrepreneurs. The lack of consistency leads to failures. You'll miss shots. In our world, we miss opportunity. And a lack of training is the first line of inconsistency. And then a lack of operation, a lack of SOPs, a lack of the university's things that he does for his company, a lack of that is further enhancing inconsistency. Do athletes that are inconsistent win? No, they lose every single time. We're mental athletes. And if we aren't consistent with our game, and our game is training, operations, management, scaling, if we're not consistent with that, we're going to lose too. That's how I look at it. So,
dude, I'm gonna teach you something, young buck, about what this gentleman just told you, because we're old gentlemen, and based off what he said, look, do you have a girlfriend yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you ever get into arguments about money or what you're doing or anything in life, it's because you've been inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we can travel almost every other weekend, the reason why we can do what we need to do to grow our businesses and grow our lives and everything like that is because over time, we have shown our wives we're faithful. What we do will make money. What we do will improve our lives. What we do will help people and make everything better. And we've done it over and over and over and over and over for years. So if you ever think that, hey, she doesn't believe in me and she doesn't, now there are some people that may not, but 99% of the time that victim mentality is because you haven't done your job and making sure that she's secure with you. And it's the same with your staff. It's the same with anybody. If you haven't done your job to show, hey, this decision I'm going to make is going to benefit you. If it's your team, this decision I'm going to make is going to make your life better, because that's all people care about. Is your decision going to make their life better? Because people don't work for you. They work with you. They work for themselves. So if you can constantly do that with your staff, with your spouse, with everyone around you, you'll be able to do whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want, because people will always know in your corner, that guy makes a decision. He's either going to stand by it, or if he messes up, he's going to fix it. It's going to make my life better. Period.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's saying. Consistent. When you're consistent over and over and over and over and over again, you will win. You will win. There's no doubt that will happen. No doubt.
Love it.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And I think like similar to relationships, how there's like multiple levels of security, like financial security, emotional security, spiritual security on the business side. And when you're training a team, there's like multiple levels of training. And like one that you said was like personal development. And so like, that's one that like we take very seriously. And so you have the technical training that people might start implementing, but then there's not like the foundational like training on how to be a better human, right?
Yeah,
so we've developed an intern boot camp, which is like a 4-week boot camp where we bring people in and develop them as a person. So as a leader, understanding business, understanding communication, understanding how to set up your day for success, how to prioritize all these things so that when they go through it, they're operating at a same level and mindset as people that are going through the more technical training. And so there's levels to the training that you can take people through. And if you really care about the people that work on your team, then developing them as a human and making sure that they understand that their personal development is the most important thing about the job that they're coming into, then they feel like, they're in a place that they can not only grow career-wise, but as a person.
Dude, I feel like I was a dumbass when I was his age.
Jesus Christ, man. This guy is fucking batting 1,000 right now, dude. The number one human need that anybody has is the need to be a part of something bigger than themselves, be a part of community. And you're killing it with that. 100% you're killing it. Who taught you that? Like, Again, we're in the people business. Yeah. That's what we do all day long. And I'm 38. I don't know how old you are.
I turned 37 in 3 days.
Oh, young bucks. Happy birthday, by the way. Yeah, but no, you're 22. Where are you learning this stuff from? How are you implementing this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so this is where it's like,
because there's a lot of teenagers that are going to be like, dude, I want to be like this kid when I'm 22.
Yeah, this is where like the education system has flipped, and you can learn everything from creators that are doing things that you want to do, right? And so like individuals like Gary Vee helped me early on, not directly with business stuff because I wasn't at that level yet. I was very naive. We were first generation entrepreneurs, so we literally knew nothing. And so watching him though was like inspirational.
He's a good guy.
He's like, do what you want, right? Like do what puts you on fire. And like, he was just speaking to me, someone who was from like a town where not much was going on. There wasn't a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. And so I could go online and watch this individual, this creator, be inspired by him and take action through his words that he was gifting me. And then as we grew up, there's more and more creators coming on the scene, like Alex and Layla Hermosi, who distributed a lot of business knowledge to us and allow us to learn and then action immediately because we already have an operating business. And so just doing that over and over again on repeat has allowed us to grow at a much faster rate than other people, generations before us, who like didn't have access to that knowledge. We were just like reading books, and it was just a slower process. And like, that's the beautiful thing about generations though. They gift things to the next generation so that their lives can become better.
I hope Gary Vee and Hermosi watch this video.
Yeah, I'll send it to him. Layla's an amazing, and Alex is a very good friend of one of my business partners.
Yeah, they've done wonders on the educational side of things. And it's just like, that can be like copied to an extent in any industry, right? And like, that's what like we're thinking of with the aesthetics industry. It's like, there's so much knowledge in health and wellness and aesthetics that can be distributed to the general public that they would gain a lot of value from, that they would, be able to action and implement into their daily lives so that they can look better, be healthier. And like, that's like a big thing for me, health. So I think it's very cool where the digital world's going and how social media is going to change the game. And then obviously AI down the road as well.
Yeah.
Dude, you're killing it. Growth. I mean, growth is one of our core values. And we always define it as not only growth in business and income, but also growth personally. So we do a lot of, we have different books that I have the staff read. I have different speakers come in that are motivational people, mindset people, and we help people with how to do your taxes, because it's amazing how many people don't know how to do that, how to do your taxes, or personal development, and a lot of leadership, because people don't get that. You don't get that from schooling. We didn't. I didn't know how to lead. We got that from sports and playing sports and things like that. But a lot of people in our field didn't grow up at sports or team sports or anything like that. So absolutely growth, that personal development. And again, they might go to another business, another marketing company. They might make more money with a different marketing company, but I guarantee that 95% of other marketing companies don't give a shit about them in their real lives. They don't care about developing them as a human. They don't care about pushing them. And we always say in Genesis, we have a family atmosphere, and that there's this hate around that now, that it's like, family means like you can do whatever you want. No. We're like, I'm an Italian family. Like, if you fuck up, you're going to get smacked in the back of the head. Hey, what are you doing here? You're better than that sort of thing.
Right.
Like, don't waste my time pouring into you. And at the same time, what I mean by that is they're not going to leave your company. You're going to have a much higher retention rate of staff. You're going to lower your cost to have to hire new people because they know that you care. And Gary's a great guy. Phenomenal books, and one of his mnemonics that he always talks about is care. And with your staff. You just got to give a shit, and when you give a shit, people know, they understand that. It's whether it's your staff or your clients or anybody, they know whether you truly care about them. And if you truly care, you're going to be one out of maybe 5 people their entire lives that they can say, hey, this person actually cares about me, and they will run through walls for you. So it's ridiculously exciting that you know that at this point in your career. It's phenomenal.
I read this article recently that said people are willing to take a significantly decrease of pay as long as they're felt like they're cared for in their workplace. And everyone's like, oh, they're asking for more money. It's because they don't have any other value to see. You've given them no other value to absorb other than pay. So if you show them care, if you show them self-development, if you give them reason, I love the tax training thing. I mean, that's a whole other topic for another day, but I mean, we're not taught taxes or accounting at all anywhere.
Budget, nothing.
And so for people to come work with us in our companies, for us to teach them that, I mean, that's a huge value asset that no employer unfortunately gives. So no, I think that all of these topics have been amazing. I appreciate each and every one of both of you for being here and for walking through these amazing conversations. Honestly, congratulations to what you're doing, what we're all doing. I think that there's a lot of help that's needed in the world. There's a lot of opportunity that's still left on the table. There's a lot of people that are worried and scared about the changes of the landscape of the economy and health and marketing and all the changes and the influences that are out there. But what we can't control is what we know. And that's exactly what we have to invest in, our knowledge, what we know, whether it's knowledge from you, knowledge from myself, knowledge from the web, knowledge from this podcast, whatever it is, invest in your own knowledge, because that's the one thing that you can control. The other stuff in the world that everyone wants to blame, we can't control that. Are we going to be able to control politics? Are we going to be able to control, the influences of social media? And if TikTok's going to be banned from the US, we can't control any of that. But what we can control is our knowledge. So I appreciate you, both of you, for displaying your knowledge here today for myself, for each other, for the viewers out there. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the time that we've spent. I'm looking forward to doing it again very soon. So thank you guys for being on here.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. I'll go through my outro just so I can put it on mine.
Yeah. We'll
so where can they find you guys?
So Instagram would be the easiest way. I personally am always checking my phone. It's something that is probably a blessing and a misfortune, because you're just glued to your phone answering messages, but it's not something that I do that I don't enjoy. So the.sam.patel is the easiest way on Instagram. Of course, YouTube, same handle. Just message on the comments, anything. I'm always willing to try to be in touch with individuals. No message goes ignored unless it's ridiculous. But no, direct message me. I'm happy to engage. How about...
Best place to find me is going to be on Instagram. So at Jackson Lintz, Lintz spelled Lintz. And, shoot me a DM, watch my content, and give me a follow.
A little bit of the Canadian accent. The first time, I went to school at Dartmouth, is in New England. And we went up to Toronto and everybody kept spelling things with Z. And I was like, what? Z-E-D? What are you talking about? Z. I don't know what do you mean? Like, that's not the way to spell that. Like, you're stupid.
It's so funny.
Yeah, Canadians. There you go. I caught that. Yeah. You guys can find me at dralexspinoso.com or Instagram. Dr. Alex Spinoso, same thing. I'm always on it. I'm always answering it. I'm not famous enough to have somebody else answering my DMs. So I'll be there helping you guys out personally.
Love it. Well, appreciate it. Thank you guys.